It doesn't say it yet, but
don't talk about Adam.
There we go.
Hey, everybody, this is Bradley Benner with Semantic Mastery. It is Wednesday, February 8th at 4 p.m. Eastern. This is Hump Day Hangouts episode number 118. Wow. And we got Hernan on and Marco on with us today. What's up, Hernan?
Hey, guys. Hey, everyone. It's really, really good to be here.
And Marco, how are you?
What's up, dude?
So I guess we have Adam's not here, who typically does announcements, but I know that Hernan and Marco both wanted to tease a couple things or talk about a couple things, so I'll let you jump right into it.
Yeah. Well, first off, that we're getting close on the VPH Video Powerhouse launch. There's some really, really powerful stuff going on in there. So we will give you guys. Adam didn't allow me to share with you guys the link to actually jump on the list, but I'll try to convince him to actually share the link with you guys next week so that you can jump in, and we'll have a bunch of stuff going on in there. We have training for the guys that are in the list that we are not sharing anywhere else. So I think it's gonna be pretty cool, so that you can jump in there and Video Powerhouse is rocking. And also, one of the things that we discussed in our last meeting in Panama was the possibility of start offering services, in particular traffic services. Bradley has been diving hard into PPC, in particular AdWords and YouTube. Myself, I've been spending a lot of time on Facebook advertising. So we decided to go ahead and set up a traffic agency. So we are polishing the details, and that's gonna be available soon. So if you guys have projects that need traffic, you can start contacting us, and we will give you the details shortly. But we are still ironing out the details, and that's gonna be launching soon as well.
Yeah, so we're gonna be starting off with Facebook, and then we'll be adding AdWords, search PPC, as well as YouTube. So AdWords for video and Bing search, and then probably a few months down the road, we'll be into the display network. Well, we'll be using display network for like remarketing, retargeting stuff, but like setting up separate display campaigns will be something that comes down the road. So just let you guys know.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. What else?
Marco, you want to say something?
Yeah. Have I mentioned how easy it is to rank in YouTube? Ever since they tweaked the algorithm to make it more difficult. Have I mentioned how easy it? Or I guess should I even be saying anything?
Probably not yet.
Oh, sorry, but okay. So moving on, we're deep in the lab. You guys know this. We've recruited programmer, right? Caesar. Most of you guys know Jessen from our Done For You RYS services. He's in there training, and we have 2 master spammers. I mean, I am in awe of the. You guys know that I take shit to a whole other level, right? When I spam, but these guys outdo me, and I'm impressed. I mean, sometimes when I look at their spamming, I literally want to cry. I'm so happy. It's just so awesome, man. And the great thing about it, remember how I always say you have to be a master mimic with Google. If you don't have the trust and authority to rank, you have to look like you do so that you can rank. Well, we've accomplished it, or well, I shouldn't say accomplished. Yeah, I can say it. But I mean, this is the level that we're going to. This is what we're going to have available come August. So guys, get ready, because it's not just like everyone else does where they just repolish old crap and sell it to you like it's new. You know. You should know better than to expect that from us. It's just something just so awesome. I can't even say where we are, because somebody else will take credit for it once we do it, right? They'll get the training, and then they'll put out their own training and say it was theirs, like they're doing with IFTTT now, where supposedly they invented it. Well, I invented Google Drive is what I'm gonna come up with, right? I invented Google Drive, guys. I'm gonna take credit for it. Anyway. Enough ranting. Be ready. It's awesome. We're spamming the crap out of everything and getting just tons of results in some of the most difficult niches that you could ever imagine. And so I'm going to leave it at that.
I love that you said The spamming is so beautiful that you almost cried. That must be some lovely spam.
Tears of happiness, man.
All right, cool. Well, guys, the only announcement I have is next week, next Wednesday, immediately following Hump Day Hangouts, is the IFTTT update webinar. I think it's either number 8 or number 9. Anyways, we got several things to go over next week, so just be aware of that. The event has already been posted in the Facebook group. That's where you can find the link that will take you over to the event page for the webinar. And also, we have masterclass today, immediately following Hump Day Hangout. So if you guys don't have anything else, I'm going to go ahead and jump into the questions.
We're good?
We're good? All right. Let me grab the screen. Is the audio back now, guys?
Good to go.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thanks. All right, cool. So we're going to start right at the bottom here. And it looks like Vanita is up. And she says, hi, I'm Vanita from the UK. I don't know anything about SEO. I'm a total beginner. I want to rank real estate and mortgage broker websites. Where can I start learning? I watched some of your videos. Nothing makes sense to me. It's all jargon and complicated code words. If you can help, I'll appreciate it. And I won't be able to listen live due to the time differences. Thank you. Well, Vanita, one thing is we've got a ton of content on the YouTube channel. That's for damn sure. I see that you say you want to learn about SEO. You know, my I don't know. I mentioned this. We did a webinar for new subscribers last week, and Marco Hernan and I did actually. And I mentioned this and that my strategy has completely done a 180-degree shift. I would recommend personally, anybody that's new, it depends on what what kind of resources you have available. Typically, people either have more time than money or more money than time. So it really depends on where you're at. If you have, I suggest starting off with paid traffic initially. Now that's my strategy going forward, which would be, I start with Google search PPC, and I do that specific or pay-per-click, since that's all jargon to you. That's AdWords. Okay. So Google AdWords, that's where you pay for your traffic. But what I found is, especially before starting an SEO project, I like to use AdWords now to determine, find out more data about my market. It's more like discovery than anything else. It's research and discovery, right? It helps me to identify the pain points, the keywords, the actual search queries that people are typing into Google, where the traffic's coming from, what converts. Okay, so all of that I can fine tune and kind of get set up and gather data and start fine tuning my sales funnels or opt-in funnels or whatever it is that I'm trying to do, whatever my conversion goal is, right? Excuse me. I can start getting that set up, start collecting data, and then I'll turn around and build out an SEO campaign once I've identified the successful terms, right? The successful keywords and the pain points in the market. And you can determine all of this rather quickly with AdWords. Cost you a few $100s in traffic. If you know what you're doing. If you don't know what you're doing, you could spend thousands of dollars in traffic. But that's personally how I'm not starting anything with SEO anymore. Not right out of the gate. Okay. Because SEO has become so complicated and so complex, unless you're Marco, and you're the spam king. But seriously, SEO has become so complicated and so complex, and it's difficult, and it takes time, and you have to be patient. And my strategy, like I said, is turn to paid traffic. And then once I've identified the things that are working in that particular industry or for that project, then I will go ahead and start setting up the SEO portion of the campaign, because I'm only want to spend time and energy and money on SEO work for the terms that I already know will be successful, because I've proven that through paid traffic, right? And guys, that's not an old concept. It's new to me. It's not a new concept. It's an old concept. It's new to me just because I always ignored it. When I heard other people for years say that same thing, I always ignored it because I was adamant about just using SEO. And I was successful doing so. But again, I say for new people that are just starting out, now, if you don't have any money to invest in paid traffic, then SEO is going to be the way to go, because then you obviously would have more time than money to be able to invest, right? So if that's the case, then I would recommend starting with probably video SEO, which is typically what I tell people to do when they start off, if they're going to start off in the SEO route, is to go with video SEO, because it's usually a lot easier than trying to rank websites and stuff. So, or web pages, but it depends on what kind of web pages you can rank. You're trying to rank, because again, as one of the products that we have called RYS Academy uses Google Drive files, which are free, to not only rank the Drive files themselves, but also to help rank whatever properties that we want. And that's a more advanced course, but it's very, very, very effective. And what I like about it is you don't have to learn. You can use specifically just Drive, Google Drive, to be able to rank stuff as well, rank the files themselves as well as rank other properties. So you don't need to learn everything else like web design and backlink building and all that other kind of stuff. You really don't need to learn. So Vanita, starting off as a rank beginner, which is what you're saying that you are, again, I would recommend starting with paid traffic if you have the resources available. If you don't, then I would start with video SEO. That said, and I can point you to some courses that we have. If you want to learn AdWords, specifically, like you said, you want to rank real estate and mortgage broker websites, I think those are great for Local Kingpin. Local Kingpin is a product that we developed underneath one of our sister companies called Mastery PR. And Local Kingpin is specifically for setting up lead gen sites, lead generation sites, or sites for local businesses, brick and mortar local businesses. So real estate brokers and mortgage, more real estate agents, mortgage brokers, those would work well, right? They would fit the Local Kingpin model very, very well. But if you want to start with SEO instead, then I don't know, guys, what would you recommend? IFTTT SEO Academy, probably.
I would say start with IFTTT SEO, but if he, I'm not sure if Nita's a he or a she, but if you're that new, I would say go learn the jargon, go learn what it all means. I mean, there's places where you can learn the terms so that you're familiar with whatever it is that we're talking about, and then move on from there or you can do it both, learn the jargon and implement IFTTT SEO Academy.
Yep.
You can also do the Local Kingpin. I would say real estate and mortgage broker, high competition, and he's going to have to pay a large amount per click, unless he really dials it in and goes after something with less competition. He'll have to take a look. You have to know your market. You have to know what it is that you're going after. You have to know where the money is, so that you can concentrate. Because if you only have $100 a month to spend on AdWords, which is okay, you could possibly generate a couple of leads from that. But that's all you can expect, is maybe a couple of leads from that $100 that you invest. So learn all you can, take in all you can, while at the same time taking some type of action. Don't just consume information and do nothing, because then when you're done consuming information, you're right at the place where you started, except you know more. You know more, but you still haven't done anything, and you haven't made a nickel. At least if you start implementing some ideas, you can go through YouTube. We have a YouTube training course. We have a whole bunch of things that you can take advantage of and try to generate some type of income while you're learning. So that would be my advice.
Yeah. And one thing I want to add to that, because Marco mentioned that, real estate keywords and mortgage loan type keywords are typically expensive when you're paying, for the traffic. So PPC, pay-per-click, they're typically, the competition is high, so it's expensive. But so is the competition for SEO in those industries. And so the competition is high in both of those industries, regardless of whether you're doing SEO or paid traffic. It really doesn't matter. Either way, the competition is going to be high. So in AdWords, all that means is you're going to pay more per click. So your leads are going to be more, your clicks are going to be more expensive. But if you've got, obviously your goal is to generate leads. And so the leads, the cost per lead or cost per acquisition is going to be higher because it's competitive and there's a lot of other people typically bidding on those keywords. But in SEO, again, that's very, very, and I know because I've worked with several real estate agents in the past and a real estate broker, an actual Remax affiliate. And I can tell you that the SEO is really difficult for those as well, because a lot of the times you're dealing with, for SEO, the competition is the big websites. So like Remax and Long and Foster and what's Redfin, I think is one of them or whatever. There's a whole bunch of Zillow's another one, a whole bunch of real estate websites that generally take up all the space on page one. So it's very, very difficult to rank in those with SEO in those industries as well. So like Marco said, you definitely want to find out where the money is, because regardless of whether you're doing AdWords or SEO, if you don't know where the money is, then you're going to be wasting both time and money on testing and trying to find out. And so personally, I like the AdWords route better because I can get to the the pain points. I can understand the market a lot faster. And then once I understand that market, then I'll put the effort into the SEO, like I mentioned before, because especially in a competitive market and that's competitive with SEO, guys, if you try to go right out of the bat and just assume that you know where the money is in the market and start working on all this SEO stuff just to find out 3 months down the road, 6 months down the road, when you finally get something ranked and it starts generating some traffic, but it's not converting and it's not generating any revenue, you just lost 3 to 6 months worth of work, right? 3 to 6 months just to find out that you were targeting the wrong damn terms or that you were in a market that there's no money. That's all I'm saying is I think it's better to start off using paid traffic so you can identify where the money is, what is converting, and then put the effort into the SEO. But again, that's prohibitive to some people, and I get that. So you just have to really choose your own battles. You have any input on that, Hernan?
Oops, I was muted. No, I agree with you. I think this is a complex universe. And again, IFTTT SEO Academy, I think it's the the best way to go initially, because we treat some complex stuff over there. I think it's the best way to go. But yeah, this needs to be taken step by step. And, you learn as you go. We are always saying that you need to be testing. And that, in my opinion, is the best way to learn. Like, honestly, you take a concept that you learn here, you ask your question, we tell you our input, and then you go and test. And then this works, this doesn't work. So that's the best way. The hands-on approach is the best way to go, in my opinion. Total immersion.
Okay, Ed Ryan's up, and I see that he posted a follow-up up here under a different profile, so because I was reading these earlier. Ed's basically saying the YouTube like recipes aren't working for him. So Ed, I'll have to look into that. We have the IFTTT update webinar next Wednesday, so I've added that to the list of things to check into between now and next Wednesday, and I will cover that in the update webinar. Okay, as I haven't heard anybody else say that it's not working yet, so it may be an isolated incident, but I will test it myself and get back to you on that. Well, again, I will cover this next Wednesday in the IFTTT update webinar. Okay, Ben's up. Ben says, "Hey guys, 2 questions. Number 1 is, if for one niche, I have a site with a branded network around it, triggered by RSS, and a YouTube channel triggering a tier 2 network, a 2-tier network, then the Google properties in the branded network around the site, okay, Blogger, Google Plus page, also used in the tier 1 ring triggered by the YouTube channel, so that they would be populated with posts and videos. If for one niche, I have a site, are the Google properties in the branded network around also used in the tier 1 ring triggered?" Well, you can, Ben. It's up to you. Look, we've covered this a lot of times. I'm going to cover it again, but I do want to point something out, guys, because I saw this earlier, so I pulled this up. We do have a knowledge base, support.semanticmastery.com. Okay. So if you go in there and you click on the IFTTT SEO Academy category, there's pages and pages in here of support of frequently asked questions, and this is one that comes up similar. It's not 100% exact match, Ben, but this is very similar to your question. But right here it says, if I have a YouTube channel and a branded website, can I syndicate both to the same network via IFTTT? So I just want to point this out, guys, because I know we have some of the same questions come up almost every week, or often enough that we put them in the frequently asked questions section. And so I just want to point this out, that this is a resource that you guys have to get your questions answered, so you don't have to wait until Wednesday. Okay. But that said, let's cover this briefly. All right. You can, if I've mentioned this many times, but if you have a branded tier 1 network and it's being fed or triggered by your money site, which is what I recommend if you are using both a YouTube channel syndication network, so YouTube syndication network, and a money site blog syndication network, right? if you're going to use both for the same project, the same brand, then most of the time what I want to do is put the tier 1 branded network attached and triggered by the blog itself. And then the YouTube channel, I will put just persona-based rings around that. Tier 1 rings or tier 2, whatever you want, as many as you want, because it doesn't matter. There's no footprint issues with YouTube still to this day. That could change at any moment. I don't expect it to, but it could at any moment. But to this day, there's no footprint issues with syndicating YouTube videos the way that we have the applets or the recipes set up. Okay. So, but there is with your blog syndication networks, there can be footprint issues, especially with 2-tier networks if you're using those. So I don't recommend using those unless you're using something like RSS Masher, or if you want to go through all the additional trouble of related content feeds, blah, blah, blah. We've been over that too. But put the tier 1 branded network attached to the blog, because you want to benefit your website, your domain, more so than you want to benefit YouTube, right? Because you own that, so to speak, right? You own the website. Whereas YouTube, YouTube's just allowing you to use some space, right? To rent basically a channel on their site. So I always like to push the authority over to the money site if possible. That's why I like to use the branded ring for the money site and then all persona-based rings for the YouTube channel. Guys, this is only for if you're going to be using both the YouTube channel and a blog syndication for the same brand. Okay, you guys get that? Just want to clarify that. However, here's the thing. If you want to have your YouTube channel and your blog trigger the same network, that's perfectly okay to do. It's the same brand, right? So it makes sense to do so. But what I recommend is, a lot of times people will publish videos to their YouTube channel, and then they'll take the YouTube video and publish it to their blog, and they won't change anything. They won't add additional text. They won't change the titles. They won't do it. Like, in other words, whatever the title of the video was on the YouTube channel, they go embed it into a post on their blog, and then they use the same title from the YouTube video as the blog post title. And then they usually don't add any content below it, or if they do, whatever. My point is, what happens is, if you do that, where both the YouTube channel and the blog are triggering and syndicating to the same network, the same branded network, or even just a handful of properties within the same network, my point is that it will end up looking like duplicate posts unless you end up making the blog post unique somehow versus just the YouTube video. So let's put it this way to try to clarify this, or to make this a little bit more clear. If you publish a video to your YouTube channel, then you want to publish it to your blog, that's perfectly fine as well. But make a more blog appropriate style title and add some additional content. One thing that I love to do is to actually take whatever video it is that I'm going to embed into a post on my money site and have it transcribed, right? So have it transcribed and then use the transcription text as blog post text, because now, and remember, again, make the title more like blog appropriate, right? Because now when you publish, when you first uploaded it to your YouTube channel, it's going to syndicate out to that network with that the YouTube title and all that. But then when you publish it to your blog, if you switch it up, make it unique enough, even if the same video is present in the post, it doesn't matter because it's a unique post. Does that make sense? It's a different title and you have additional content. So it's not just a republishing of the same video. And the problem occurs when because it looks spammy, guys. If you have in your branded network basically what looks like duplicate posts, because one came from YouTube and one came from your money site, and there's very little differences between the two, then it's going to look like duplicate posts on your branded properties, which can end up getting them terminated for spam. That's my whole point. Okay. So if you want to syndicate from both to the same network, I recommend just switching it up enough on the blog when you republish your video to your blog to make it unique, to make it to where it's not duplicate content anymore. You can be the same video, that's fine, but just switch up the title and add some content, some additional text below the video, or in the post itself. Okay. So that's perfectly fine to do, just to let you know. Like I said, that's what I recommend doing, guys, because you don't want to, unless you're using it for spam purposes, I wouldn't want to be cluttering up my branded properties with duplicate posts. Okay. All right. Number 2, if I am in a local market for lead gen and it's competitive, what is the best strategy for being the dominant player in that market 12 to 18 months from now? Is it just to muscle my way to the top for the primary search term? If so, what is the best way to do that? Or alternatively, would you cast a wide net targeting relevant but less competitive keywords, creating and posting 1 to 2 curated posts per day, 1 to 2 videos per day for 12 to 18 months? Well, If you're in a really competitive industry, then, yeah, I mean, again, my first go-to strategy now is AdWords. Like right off the bat, I would start working my way in or muscling my way into the top of the AdWords, the ads pack, right? That's what I would be doing, because again, if you're in, the primary search term, if you already know this market and the primary search term is generating, has got money in it, and you can determine that, which by the way, we should mention this for Vanita. One thing you can check to see which keywords are, if you see a lot of people paying for ads, so a lot of advertisers for different types for keywords that you're looking at, then you know that there's money in that niche, if that makes sense, or in those keywords, right? And so for Ben, Ben, I would be working on AdWords, number one, because I think that that's critical for any sort of local businessing, for lead gen, especially now. I think it's absolutely critical. But then I would be focusing on maps too, if possible. Now, I don't know your situation. I don't know if you have a physical location in this area. That it's very difficult to, with just a small amount of text here, to assume everything that's going on for your project specifically. But what I would say is maps for lead gen guys. I've got several dozen lead gen sites, and I can tell you that the ones that were just using organic rankings for generating leads have tanked. Like, not the rankings have tanked, my lead volume has tanked, because there's just so much competition now between the ads and the Maps 3-pack that you often have to go past 7 damn listings to get to the first organic listing. And I've noticed for a lot of local terms now, guys, I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but for a lot of the industries that I'm in, or for the cities that I'm in, because I'm pretty much mainly in just a couple industries, I'm seeing a lot more directory sites listed on page 1 now in the organic section, right? I'm seeing a lot more of that. They're starting to muscle out the little guys. And so because of that, like I said, I would recommend focusing specifically on maps if possible for SEO. And I would be focusing on AdWords and maps. Pretty much that's what I would be doing. You guys have any comment on that?
Yeah, I think that would be the best way to go. Plus, you can have really quick iterations of your website. If it's converting, like the ability that will give you paid advertising once you have a proven website. You will be miles ahead of those that are just waiting for them to rank their websites or whatever. Because once let's say that you need to wait, I don't know, 3 months for you to rank on the 3-pack, or for you to rank on the regular listings, whatever that is, then you have lost 3 months of potential input on your website. Right. That you do not need to wait those 3 months if you have traffic coming in, and then when SEO kicks in, then you will have like version 2 or version 3 of your website, et cetera, et cetera. So have that in mind as well.
Yep. And the other part of this that I want to mention is the second part of this question, or the last part of this question, when you say, would you cast a wide net targeting relevant but less competitive keywords? Yes, I would do that anyways. My point is that if you're in a competitive market, it's going to take an SEO strategy, time and patience, in order to work your way into, or muscle your way in, right? To like what you just mentioned. But what I'm saying is absolutely always target long tail, and do that use your blog. I mean, that's the whole IFTTT SEO strategy, guys, is to identify the top level keywords, then find supporting type keywords, right? So the longer tail versions of the keywords, LSI, co-occurring keyword type things, reinforcing supporting keywords that are generally going to be longer tail in nature. And then start blogging using those keywords, creating blog posts, whether they're original or curated content, covering those topics, using those longer tail keyword phrases as the primary topic of the post, build silo structure into your site, and continuously blog on a consistent and regular basis. And you will start to muscle your way into that top level term. And you use the blog as your way to build that relevancy and backlinks, starting with just distributing content that's relevant within a proper silo structure. So I absolutely recommend that you do that anyways. For any SEO strategy, you should be doing that. Why go after the top level term that's going to take you months of effort, and when you can start going after longer tail stuff and get traction a hell of a lot quicker, which will also reinforce your efforts to work on that, your efforts to try to rank for the top level term. if that makes sense. So, I mean, guys, I used to go after just the top level terms all the time, but over time I realized that was a ass backwards strategy. I should be going after the low hanging fruit first to initially get some traction, start generating some leads and thus revenue, and then reinvest and continually work on trying to rank for those top level terms where the real money is. But in the meantime, I can start generating revenue, especially for lead gen, right? I can start selling those leads, whether they came from a long tail search or top level search. It doesn't matter. It's a lead is a lead is a lead, right? And so again, for that, just one, I want to point this out one time, but we talk about this tool all the time. Power Suggest Pro has got to be my favorite keyword tool of all time, guys, for SEO. Okay, for AdWords, I just use the keyword planner, but for SEO, the Power Suggest Pro is probably the greatest keyword research tool of all time, in my opinion, and it's inexpensive. It's like $57 one time, and it's a super simple tool. It doesn't have a learning curve at all. All you do is punch your main keywords in there, select Google if you're going to be targeting Google. You can uncheck YouTube, and then click search, and it will start spitting out the suggested auto-suggest keywords very, very quickly. And you'll get all the long tail ideas that you need for your content marketing right there. Does that make sense? It will give you gold that you can use. Really long tail stuff a lot of the times will Power Suggest will return really long tail terms sometimes that are absolute gold because there's traffic there and you can build relevancy within a silo to help rank a top level term. Okay.
I added the link.
Okay. Thanks. Okay, this was Ed following up on the IFTTT YouTube like recipes. Again, I'll cover that. I'll look into that and that will be covered next Wednesday. Edward's up. He's got several questions. I see that. He's up for you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I would just say with Ben, he's looking to rank in.
Your audio is coming in and out.
Can you hear me?
I can right now, but you've been breaking up. Try again.
Yeah. Let me try it again. RYS Academy, if he wants to rank in the map pack.
Oh, I totally agree.
It's incredible how it influences it. And then we're also working on lessening the competition in organic results. So that's something else to look forward to.
Yeah, we're not going to elaborate on that yet, are we?
Not yet.
Okay. Lessening the competition. I love it. All right. Edward's up. Edward's very hungry right now. So he says, my goal is to grow my local businesses from 5K to 50K a month. I've purchased Outsource Kingpin and IFTTT B2. I just bought MegaRay. I know I need local and content Kingpin, but also RYS. You're killing me, and I try to consume all you sell. What do I do? Too much? What is priority? I want to be the best I can be. Help. Edward, I really, really, really respect your motivation and your drive. That's what it takes, man. So my guess is you're going to be very successful, okay? Because you're like a sponge trying to absorb everything, and I get that, and I appreciate that. So first of all, congratulations. Second of all, I recommend, honestly, this isn't just a shameless plug, but I recommend you join the mastermind. And the reason I say that is because, you're buying all these products of ours. If you were in the mastermind, first of all, you'd have direct access to my partners and I. Pretty much whenever you want. Second of all, you have access to all the other mastermind members. Then there's some real savvy dudes in our group, man. I'm telling you, we learn just as much from them as they learn from us. There's no doubt. Okay, we've got some really savvy people in the mastermind. Third, all the products that you're purchasing most of them would be included in your mastermind membership. So you wouldn't have to purchase all those products, including the Mastery PR products. For example, Outsource Kingpin and Content Kingpin, those are included with the mastermind purchases. Your mastermind subscription. Local Kingpin, there's a significant discount on that. So my point, RYS, a significant discount on that. So my point is going out and spending all these one-off to purchase these courses. I mean, that's great. We appreciate it, but you could save yourself a lot of money inside the mastermind, plus get a hell of a lot more information and direct access to us as well as all the other mastermind members, which is a ton of activity in our group all the time, guys. I really recommend that you do that, Edward. But that said, let's see. It really depends on what it is that you're trying to do. I know that we talked last week, Edward, because you had several questions, and I know that we ran out of time, and we're probably going to run out of time again today. But, we have the masterclass and mastermind webinars that we do bi-weekly. Today we have a masterclass webinar. Tomorrow, mastermind webinar. It's something that, again, you have a lot more direct access to us. where we could literally help you like with specific problems that you're having in your business. So that's one thing. But the other thing is, if you want to do lead gen, I understand that you're doing client services right now. And guys, I get that. There's immediate money in providing client services. So do that. That's fine. But I also recommend start building your own lead gen business on the side so that you control and own the assets, right? So that you stop building up other people's assets and start building your own. And that's what I highly recommend that you do. If you need immediate income and you can get that by generating client services, that's great. But on the side, in your off time, in your downtime, you start building out your own assets, because then you can build out lead gen assets in whatever niche or whatever city you want. I recommend zeroing in on one particular industry and sticking within that industry. Seriously, go all in 100% in one vertical, guys, and stick with it, because then you can become an expert and a big fish in a small pond. If you try to go broad and just say, I'm going to provide local SEO or consulting services or lead gen services for any business that will take me, you have to do all the research on every new project. You have to do start from square one. And so if you select one particular industry and zero in on that, then you can become an expert. You really only have to do you're going to constantly be doing ongoing research anyways, but all you're going to be doing is adding to what you already know. So you're going to continually get better. You're going to be able to speak the language fluently of those people in that industry. So you'll know the vocabulary. You'll be able to speak directly to their pain, and you'll be able to charge a hell of a lot higher prices for your services too, than if you try to be a jack of all trades. If that makes sense.
Can you scroll up real quick to Wayne's comment? Because Wayne he's a mastermind member, so that's why I wanted you to read that.
Edward, it's a business, not a hobby. It's only expensive if you don't use it. Pick the minds of the Semantic Mastery team and the mastermind. Appreciate that, Wayne. Totally agree. Look at all the questions from Edward. Oh, wow. All right, so we're going to have to move on because we're at 4:37 already. But yeah, again, my best suggestion is to join the mastermind, Edward, because if you're willing to put in the effort and the work and spend the money on training, which obviously you are, and you have that desire and that drive, you would be a perfect fit for the mastermind. You'd save yourself some money, and you would literally get all the information that you could possibly need inside there. Okay. All right, next, Virginia Surgeons. This is Toby. I remember. Main money site is 3 months old. It bounced around from second page to fifth page, now back to the top of fourth in the last 2 weeks. Is this the new norm? Yes, Toby. Is this the new norm, or do we set it aside and build another money site? Well, I would say both. Yes, it's the new norm, but just go ahead if you have if you have the ability and the time, the desire to do so, then build a second property too. That's a Terry Kyle strategy, which is anytime going into a new niche, testing a new niche or new keywords in a new city or whatever, is to build more than just one site. Because if you put all your eggs in one basket, there is that random ranking factor that sometimes domains just perform poorly. And there's even a brand new domain or expired domain alike. It doesn't matter. Sometimes domains just are I call it an algorithmic anomaly, right? So it's just some domains just are at a disadvantage right out of the gate, and there's not really any rhyme or reason to it. But, if you build multiple sites for the same project, essentially, then some are just going to perform better than others naturally. And, again, it's difficult to do if you're doing, a lot of projects. I get that. But if you're only working on a couple projects, it makes sense to, instead of just putting all your eggs in one basket, so one site, build out 2 or 3, right? Because one of them is going to outperform the others hands down every time. It's just the nature of the game, guys. So I would say, yes, it is a new norm, dancing, and that whole probationary period. Marco's done a fantastic job on a blog post about that. What they call the Google dance and making changes and that kind of stuff. Dancing a lot, especially for new sites, is the new norm. But also if you can build additional sites, you may find that just one site will outperform all the others by leaps and bounds, and then that's your winner, right? Like Terry Kyle, I know, because that's a strategy I learned from him, that he'll go out and build 5 sites around a particular set of keywords. And, invariably one will always outperform the other 4. There will be a mix into how well each one of them performs, but there's always one that rises to the top. And then that's the one that you put going forward, that you put the most effort into. That makes sense. And the other properties, guys, it's not a waste of time because the other properties can be used as feeder properties, right? Parasites, PBN sites, sites for backlinking purposes. So the other sites aren't a waste. You just identify which one's going to perform the best in search and then use that to be your money site, and all the other ones become feeder sites. Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to add. Yeah, I wanted to add real quick that when you have a winner, when you have a winning domain, you can see it right off the bat. It's crazy, but you could be struggling. I don't know. You could be struggling like for months to get a domain to page one, but when you have a winning domain, you only need a couple of tweaks to the on-site SEO. Not even backlinks. That's the power of having a winning domain. It will make things so much easier. That's why Terry Kyle approaches this, because he's really on point with that, and you can really tell when you have a winning domain right off the bat. I don't know why. Maybe it's some randomness in it, or maybe there are fluctuations of the algorithm. I don't know why, but there's this randomness that you need to have in mind. So if it's your project, I would suggest that go ahead and to test it out is super simple. What you need to do is to set up 3 WordPress sites with 3 different articles and optimize them for SEO. And the one that gets without links, without anything, with the default WordPress theme, once you have that, the domain that hits the higher rank, if you would, or page 2 or bottom page 1, whatever, that's the domain you keep. It's super straightforward, super simple. It will take you half an hour, and it can save you months of trying hard, for ranking your domain. So
he also has a Google site ranking on the first page.
Yeah, I saw that.
I would say optimize that. Yeah. Make that the hub. Make that where everything starts, and then you can, once you have that optimized, then you can push the power any way you want. I mean that's the theory behind or part of the theory behind RYS Academy. We play on the fact that Google is narcissistic. It's going to love itself before it loves anybody else, if it ever does love anybody else. That's what we play on.
Yep. Yeah, and so he says Google site just made it on the first page, so this should all tell us something. Yeah, or tell us all something, and that's exactly what RYS Academy does. I mean, yeah, absolutely. So that's, we use not only the Google sites, but also the drive files to rank shit and to rank pretty much for anything. It's insane. And that's what RYS Academy is all about, Toby. So if you're not in that yet, you should really check it out, because if you're, there's just it's just incredible the power that you can have with that. And I love this follow-up comment. Video Powerhouse is fantastic. It ranked both my videos almost instantly, and they both rank higher than my money site, 6 stars. That's awesome. And it's crazy because I noticed we have 802 sites in the network now, and I know we got a bunch more coming. So there's a lot in there now, guys. And for a while we've been dealing with on the back end, developing out all the processes and stuff to make it super powerful, and we're just really starting to ramp up the deployment of the new sites, and it's going to be big. Well, how many what's our target? Our target number of sites?
We've got over 2,000. We're trying to get it to 3 by release, but we have over 500,000. Might be closer to 750,000 on the secondary embed network also. Everything is themed. Everything is relevant. Everything is separated, categorized, guys. That's the power of Video Powerhouse. We're adding IFTTT networks where necessary. The content team is working. The build team is working. Everybody has been working their butt off to make this what it is right now. So if it's like this right now, imagine what it's going to be once it's all set. I mean, that's all I have to say on that one. I can't wait. I can't wait for it to go public. They're getting results now, guys. That's all. What else needs to be said?
Okay, Chris is up. He says, in terms of on-page SEO internal linking, what are your thoughts on reciprocal linking? I.e., if Article A linked to Article B with a targeted anchor, could you also link Article B back to the section of Article A with a different targeted anchor, assuming they're both in the same silo? So that's not considered a reciprocal link, Chris. Well, I don't know technically if that would still be considered a reciprocal link, but with it, when it's in the same site, it's an internal link. It's not a reciprocal link. And there shouldn't be any problem with doing internal links, reciprocal internal links from within the same site. You mentioned assuming they're both in the same silo. So I'm assuming that article A and article B are on the same site within the same silo. And that's absolutely fine. Internal linking is not going to harm you. Okay. I've never experienced any problems with internal linking, period. I know that people have said, well, you don't want to do internal linking with the same keyword over and over again. To be honest with you, I've never experienced a negative impact from that. I still vary. I still try to add diversification with to my anchor text, even with internal links. But I've never seen a negative. Now, I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I'm just saying I personally have never experienced a negative side effect from too many internal links with the same anchor text. Just to let you know, it's typically a penguin thing, which would be an off-page inbound link penalty for over-optimization of anchor text. But just to point this out, clarify this, if you're linking from article A to article B, and then you want to link back from article B back to article A, and they're in the same silo, there's no problem. The only problem that would come is if you want to link from article A to article B, and they're in different silos, different keyword themes, right? If that's the case, or different topical themes, right? That's typically what a silo will do. It categorizes or compartmentizes, right? So it creates compartments or containers of keywords and keyword themes, and what we call keyword set, right? And so if you want to link from article A, like silo A to silo B, then I recommend no following the link, because otherwise you drain or bleed the theme. Right? You don't want to bleed one silo over to the other. So I would recommend for navigational purposes, which, you can do a no follow link, which makes it easy for like readers and visitors, but it doesn't bleed the theme, right? But if you're in the same silo, then absolutely you can do internal linking back and forth, and it makes no difference. Does that make sense? So usually you have a top level silo page, and then depending on whether it's complex or simple silo, will determine whether you have, subcategories and in posts, or just going with top level categories in posts, which would be a simple silo structure. I recommend sticking with the simple silo structure as much as possible. But usually you will have the top level page, and then you'll have your supporting articles. You can link from the top level page to any of your supporting articles, and you can link from your supporting articles back to the top level page or to any other supporting articles within the same silo. It makes no difference whatsoever. All I do is I would recommend that you don't force internal links. If they occur naturally, then yeah, put a link. That makes sense. Okay. Brian's up. Hey guys, I believe you mentioned that with client SEO, you have to ensure you have the ability to turn off your clients' rankings when they stop paying you or when the contract period ends. Can you elaborate on how to do that and on how you would do this and why? Well, Brian, it's not that you can turn off their rankings. But, we talk a lot about creating your own properties like redirects. Essentially, for example, if you have a client that's got a WordPress site, what I like to do is I like to go out and buy my own domain, clone the client site, put it on my domain, on my hosting account somewhere, then set up. So it's literally an exact copy of their site. Whether I built the site or it was already pre-built, whatever. I like to clone the site and then install it on my own domain, and then set up page-by-page redirects. You can do it with a plugin like Simple 301 Redirects. You can do it with HT Access. You can do it in cPanel. Doesn't matter. But set up literally individual 301 redirects from page to page, post to post. So it's a one-to-one ratio. And then I like to build links to my domain, which ultimately resolve to the client domain. But you can't do that with citations, guys. Obviously, citations are going to have to be built directly to the client domain, as well as any content marketing that you're doing for the IFTTT SEO strategy, right? The attribution links are automatically going to point back to the money site, which would be the client's domain. That's fine. I get that. But all I'm saying is if I'm going to be doing additional external link building, right? So additional inbound link building from other sources other than the content marketing or citations, then I like to build links to my domain it's redirected to the client's domain. And that's so that in the event that the client decides that they don't need, again, guys, this is what I mentioned at the beginning of this webinar about building your own assets. I was telling Edward, I believe, both Edward and Vanita, to build your own assets, right? Because that's why. Because if you're always building links to your client site and they decide that they don't need you anymore because you got them ranked now, and they want to go pay some guy that called from, some spamming email from India, $50 a month or whatever, then they could just say, oh, you know what, we don't need you anymore. And you lost all that work. You made money while you did it, sure, but now that revenue stream is gone. It's done. Whereas if you had your own domain that you were building external links to, then when the client decides they want to stop paying you, you just remove all those redirects from your domain. Now, obviously, you have to go in and change. You can't just have an exact copy of their site, but you have to go. You'd have to go in and change out logos and contact details, and then probably edit the text somewhat, or just what I like to do is just add curated sections to the original text so that it becomes original, right? And change out some of the details on the site. But now I've got a website that's already pre-built, just needs some modification. And I've already got a bunch of backlinks built to it. And when I remove those 301 redirects, it removes that link juice to the client site. That doesn't mean the client site's going to drop out of the rankings and yours is going to replace it. It doesn't mean that at all. Chances are that's not going to happen. But you start off now with an asset that you already own, that already has a lot of work done to it and a lot of inbound links, that now with just some additional work on your part, you can end up ranking that site for the same keyword terms in that same area. So you end up becoming a competitor of that client that let you go, if that makes sense. And now you have a lead gen property that you can sell, rent, or just sell leads, right? And that's what I like to do. It takes some work. I mean, certainly I would change, again, once you remove the redirects, guys, you're going to have to modify the site. You can't just have an exact duplicate of the client site out there on the web. Okay, that could get you into legal trouble. But you could go in and change the theme, change out logos, contact details, and then add some additional content, or just have the content rewritten or reworked a bit to where it's not the exact same site as your client site. And now you've got a site already that you've been doing work to for however many months or years you've been working on the client site. Does that make sense? Okay, we're almost out of time. I know we still got a ton of questions, but we're almost out of time. David's up. I have a client that has 4 locations that all use the same website, but all have different Google My Business listings. How would I build out an IFTTT network for that? Same website, but all have different. What I would do is a different. Well, no, I wouldn't. I would do one IFTTT network for all 4 locations, and then I would just blog out. You can do category type stuff. So in other words, each location should have its own category, and I would just be posting from the main Money Site blog and using the blog post to build links to all 4 locations. That's absolutely fine. In fact, you could even tie all 4 GMB local pages into one syndication network. In other words, you'd end up having to have 4 separate buffer accounts, or a paid buffer account, which is fine. And then you could have all 4 pages, I believe, under the same buffer account. I'm not 100% sure if you can do that, but you might, with a paid buffer account, which is only like $10 a month. I think you can connect 4 Google Plus local pages to the same buffer account. So where then all you need is one IFTTT account with the buffer applet or buffer recipe. And every time you make a post to your money site, it's going to automatically syndicate out to all 4 Google local pages. However, you could set it up with categories, like I just mentioned. Each location have its own category, and that way, whenever you post in each category, it's going to be location specific, if that makes sense. So it's a good question, though, guys. I wish we had more time. I see Ed's got a ton of questions here, but guys, I don't have time. We've got. Does somebody give him Mastermind? Yeah, thank you, Marco. We've got masterclass coming up here in about 5 minutes, and I got to get prepared for that. So we appreciate everybody being here. A lot of good questions today, guys. Thanks for everybody being here. You guys got any parting words?
Thanks, guys. Keep in touch and stay tuned, because we're going to have a ton of good stuff coming your way. So keep in touch, and we'll see you guys next week.
Yep. We'll see everybody on masterclass in just a few minutes, guys. Thanks for being here. See you all next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.